right, Jay. Good. So we'll let you tune up a little bit. Good. So let's go through it a bit. I think I like that there's a nice kind of rhythmic lilt that you have during the ritmico parts, which is really good. So you don't always play, one and a two E and a one. Or one and a two and a one and a two. Literally, you kind of have this nice. There's this nice kind of Spanish lilt to the rhythm where it goes one and a two and a three, which is something you can't really notate. It's kind of in between 30 seconds and sixteenths. So I thought that was very nice. But what I'd like to first do is then, as far as working on things involving your guitar playing, has more to do with maybe sound. But in order to do that, I think we have to think about, we have to try. And really kind of play a little bit slower. The first thing I'd like to do is just actually play, if you don't mind, just sort of switch guitars, just so I can get a sense of what your guitar does and what it doesn't do. Every guitar does this, and then it doesn't do this. There's always a trade-off. On the strings, yeah, smart. Or for free stroke. Not sure, I can't remember what I would do there. So that even in piano, there is a difference then coming out of the guitar than from that. So let's go work slowly though on that. So you want to make sure you don't lose your sound. Right? Let's play that slowly, like keep playing, yeah. And then this typically, at least, what we always hear, with Ponticelli, right? These kind of blind slurs, or you can do that as Segovia's fingering. After this really pretty, then it has to be like the kind of macho Spanish kind of character, and then this is like it's very orchestral, the piece. So this could be like low brass. That could be like some winds or something like that kind of playing off in the background. And I think it's important to think about those things because Turina was not only, I'm pretty sure he's a pianist, he wasn't a guitarist. So when they're writing for the guitar and they're writing for Segovia, probably we have to assume that one of the things that's in their mind when they're writing a guitar piece is that, like the famous Segovia quote, like the guitar is like a miniature orchestra. That's why a lot of the Segovia repertoire has so much orchestral color to it. And that's where the sound thing comes in. The sound has to actually be the vehicle, to do that. So we have to identify what the character. We have to think about what the character of certain things are, the color along the string that we assign to them, the angle of attack, and this kind of thing. So I think that traditionally this is played pretty full, right? Like, we can go a little slower. I'm not sure I would play all these slurs, but are you doing this here? You're replucking it?
I'm replucking.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard. Are you Roscoe? Yeah. Something like that. Is this
It is, but
yeah, I know. I've noticed with my own students, some do it and some don't. Let's pretend for now that we're not going to do it. Right? So this, you have to make, you can play softly at the beginning, but then it's got to really have direction back toward the full orchestra. Maybe the percussionist is playing castanets or something. I don't know, right? But we have to kind of imagine something, right? That we're trying to sort of achieve on the guitar, right? And that's kind of one of the first things I start with, of course, with the fingerings, what the fingerings are going to be, rhythms, dynamics, and that kind of thing. So let's just go slowly and try to sort of create something really happening with that, you know? Yeah. That's it. Yeah, but you have to stay. You have to stay. It still has to be forte. Right. Okay, now this is an interpretation thing. You're making that more of a gesture, and I believe that is still ritmico, meaning in time, in rhythm, so that we get like right. That Pitts, I think you should do.
Yeah.
Because that sounds great, right? You're doing that one? See, and then this is something else. This is something else. Different section of the orchestra. You know, maybe it's flute, you know, or something like that. Maybe it's, you know, maybe it's the violin section. I don't know. Meaning, I'm sort of using my imagination. That's low brass or something, you know what I mean? So we have to kind of make all these things happen. So let's try that one more time. Again, kind of under tempo, so you can kind of think it through while you're playing. Dun, 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 dun. Let's even go like something like that. From the beginning. Excellent. Okay, now Pitts, okay? Pizzicato on the guitar is kind of a thing, and it often ends up sounding like this. Which means barely audible to the audience. I actually use the bone, this knuckle on my thumb. I get asked about it all the time by guitarists, like, why are you getting that sound? If you can kind of pluck the string with this bone here, or whatever that is, where the knuckle is,
kind of right there.
It's where the joint is. It's kind of right here.
Right there.
Something's going on there, but you have to kind of pluck with some force. It's gotta be. There you go. That's it. And Segovia had that too. He could totally get that sound. Like it was like boom, 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 like the whole top's moving on the guitar. It's awesome. It's not that you always have to play a lot, but it's got to. See, then once they hear the first notes, then you can follow the diminuendo, right? Because now the big has decayed by the time you get to that second measure of the pizzicatos, right? And then you come down, and then that leads into, of course, that diminuendo leads into the really pretty, I think Segovia did that on a recording, what I heard when I was a kid. Someone did. And that's Sol Ponticello, okay. Good, so these first two lines, though, are like so much better because you're not just playing guitar now. Now you're kind of like really sort of making something happen with it. You're imagining what it could sound like, and I think the key thing is really thinking orchestral, like really thinking like that. Again, Segovia's direction, I think, to these guys that didn't play guitar, these composers that didn't play guitar, was the guitar is like a miniature orchestra. He was constantly saying it, and Ponce, again, another one, and Tárrega, they were really kind of trying to get at it because they would maybe write on the piano or not, but they couldn't play the guitar. To really, they couldn't sort of figure it out the way that Villa-Lobos could. So Villa-Lobos' music is like sort of like it immediately playable on the guitar because he was actually not just a okay guitarist. Actually, he was like a really good guitarist, and so he could write all these things, and whatever he imagined, like he could kind of make it happen. So that's a different thing. That's why that stuff is so like immediately idiomatic, like the preludes and even a lot of the etudes, right? Sweet Popular Brazilian. So these are a little tougher, right? Like these left hand changes are all awkward, and there's a lot of things about it that even with Turina, which I find his music more idiomatic to the guitar in a way than Tárrega even. It's still sort of, it's clunky. There's a lot of clunky things to it, right? As you discovered. So once again, let's go. So Ponticello. And then with direction there. Let's just work with that. That's very good. Don't worry about mistakes. Amazing. And you'll practice the pitch so that it goes, that you can really engage the string with it. Yes. That's it. Jake, that's amazing, right? Go. No. You're making a gesture. No, this is all in time. This is all. Remember, it's like. I'm not saying that it has to be like to a click track or anything like that. But what I mean is that da 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 is a thing. Right. The rhythms are an actual thing. And if we don't give them the thing, they're gonna be like, what is that? Like, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. It just sounds random, right? So yeah, but this is such good playing, right? So I think, do that once again from here and make it as beautiful as possible. It's okay.
I'm losing it because I'm playing with the bar.
No,
it's
exactly. Here, please. Thanks. Yeah. And then there, you're going to want And that's where the retardando is. That's kind of the end of the first major section, right? Good. Sorry, I'll just take the first major. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, so you can even take time, you can even breathe in between each one. But don't breathe in between this and this, because this is the winds or trumpet's answer to the low brass. But then you can breathe between. And then right away start slowing down, right? Because this is hard to get to. Right? That's what the pros do. Anything that's really hard to get to, they just kind of. They kind of retroactively kind of make something happen, and where they do it, like several of the greatest, I think the greatest players, my favorite players, like they do that really well. So. Is that right? Yep.
I was turning that into a triplet, actually.
Yes, I like that as well. A lot of players hear that wrong. You have to acknowledge the golpe.
Right.
A lot of people hear this for some reason and I did it as a kid because all the recordings sounded like that. Because they would take a ton of time here, then they would golpe, then they would take more time, and then they go ya na 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 na. So how am I supposed to hear it any other way than da na 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 na? Then that's the downbeat, right?
Right.
So again, when I actually studied this piece through students, I was like, oh my God, that's the rhythm of it? I didn't know, like, because I never, because you would always hear like. Right? How is anybody going to hear it any other way that's on the downbeat? Right? So you and I, when we play this, we have to resolve to. Which is not easy. Right. So you can do your golpe if you're going to do your golpe on the strings, which is like a string click. That's it. Practice that becomes a move. This is what I sit doing all day, is that kind of stuff. Like make it and make it into a move and see that you can play it in a pocket, what I call, what we call sort of a thing. These are on the downbeat. Like, oh my God, it was like such a revelation, like looking at it with a student. I was like, that's what the rhythm is? I never knew. I never knew. Then you got this stuff where you got it down here. You're going to do that with a bar?
Well, yeah, I was kind of stretching the time a little bit to sort of make up for that shift.
See, but I think that doesn't, but ideally though, I don't think that sounds good, right?
Right, yeah.
So, what's another way to get down to the third position? I'm wondering if there's another way. We need to get here.
Right.
Like, I don't know the piece that well, like, but all I know is, like, we need to get here.
Yeah.
Right? So we can go. This all stays in our orchestral kind of thing in our pocket, right?
Right.
So that's one, and you're doing it here.
Well, the second time I.
Right, because you're trying to avoid the shifting. Can you do this? Are you going? 0 1 3 1 3 4 1
1 2.
No, do 1 3 4. Yeah, 1 3 4. No, 1 3 4 3 1. That's it. It's just a move. Try it again. Keep repeating it. I'm joking around. I'm having a little fun, but you get what I mean, right? Like you gotta pretend like it's a part in a quartet or whatever, and like I want to get, and don't save the 3 for later. Try to do this. Then you'll build up your dexterity with it. No, you're holding it down for later. Watch my third. Watch my third. Just make it daily, and that's like a daily exercise. Everything from like, I can't tell you how many things in this piece I played today became like these daily exercises. It's through learning the repertoire when you can say, oh, you know what? I'm not so good at that. I'll put that into the little library of my technique library with the scales, and arpeggios, and stuff like that, right? You put it into this library of things, and through this piece, this kind of dexterity kind of thing is going to get better. But in the piece, it's for this reason. I'm going to get there. There, now you have your 2s still there ready for that. No, if you use 3, 4. Yeah. No, now what I'd like to, now what I'm going to suggest, now this will end up actually being another.
Stay on the first string.
You're trying to climb your way, like a ladder your way down to 3rd position using the scale.
Right.
Fingerings are unfortunately like a huge part of the problem solving, like the puzzle solving of guitar playing. It's unfortunately it just comes with the territory. And if you're a good puzzle solver, problem solver, you can you don't have to be beholden necessarily to the fingerings. The fingerings from the particular player or editor are the ones that player that's the one they like. Segovia was really a busy person. This is a great thing to study, is his fingerings, because you get a real insight into his playing style. But I would try to fashion something like that. Too bad there aren't any open strings, right? I'm a big fan of those. But this is the goal of this. Open string, right? I'm not saying it would be my solution. I would work with this, and I typically experiment when I'm learning a piece with anywhere from 3 to 5 different fingerings on a difficult passage. Actually, the more difficult the passage is, the more I'm going to be looking at a lot of different things for a while, as long as I have time. All right. That's starting out. Because the scale's not that fast actually in real time. And then then we come off there. Right. So on and so on and so on and so forth. By the way. Try that one for this. Right. Because then you don't have to be up here with this and then go. when you have melody notes, alone, that's a golden opportunity to ladder, ladder your way down or ladder your way up, up the neck or down the neck to, let's say there was any other fingering but this, right? That's another thing. That's another option, but meaning we don't even, right? Much easier. But if you do it here, now you got a guide finger and a nice little pause up here, hanging out for 3 notes. So that's another thing I wanted to get across to you. You have to don't be too like these have to be the fingerings and this kind of thing. It's not that. What's most important is the music. What's most important, like we have melody, we have harmony, we have rhythm, we have dynamics, we have color. We have to really make sure all of these things are happening. And if we're always kind of sort of in a way, the fingerings of a particular edition can be somewhat of like a prison, because then we can't, like, if we can't imagine anything outside of that, then it's hard to improve, right? So one last thing, only because we have just a couple minutes left, is what kind of technical training around how long have you been playing classical guitar?
I'd say right around 3 years now.
Just 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, this piece is quite tough. Actually, I think for 3 years. Yeah. Actually, I mean, so there's that, but it's not. You have facility. I think that a lot of this is that you don't have enough technical training. Actually, is that's what you need to be. So you are doing lots of scale. Free stroke and rest stroke and that kind of thing, and arpeggiation and this sort of thing. Okay, good. When that stuff really starts to catch up and you're doing that at, at least an hour a day, after about 10,000 hours of practice, which only takes really a certain number of years, then you can, that stuff really starts to be kind of like and slurs too. That stuff starts to become, really try to do as many slur etudes, slur exercises as you can do. The Giuliani, Carcassi, lots of sore ones are really great for it too. Though this becomes like, I have a backbone of that kind of stuff. Like it's and that's like the central nervous system in a way of my technique, and that everything kind of comes from that. So whenever I encounter any combination of scales, slurs, arpeggios, because then you get into a piece and now they're combined together, or they're on top of each other. Yeah. You need the fundamentals of that kind of stuff, kind of from, like sort of hot coals of like a bonfire, so like kind of coming up from underneath. That's really powering that kind of. Yeah. Okay. Good. Very good. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.